Well, hi there everyone, welcome back to Wyther Farms. Just got back to the yard here, having been up the shop and purchased this little fuel bowser. So I went round to the garage, filled it up with diesel and brought that back to the yard here. I thought that'd be pretty handy, so I've got a bit of diesel on the farm, and it's also good that I can put it on the 3-point link at the front there and take it up the field with a trailer. To top up the combine as and when I need to. I made a couple of other purchases as well I thought would be kind of useful and handy really. I bought some tools and a toolbox and everything so I can service my vehicles down here, and I've also gone and purchased a hose pipe, which means that I can wash my vehicles down here at the yard as well. Now this wasn't very expensive at all, it was only about £40. So I'm going to get the combine cleaned. Had a busy day yesterday doing various contracts and harvesting our canola on field 21, which we finished up, and that took our budget to a little over 70,000, so that was good. Now I've taken on another contract as well in field 33, just over the hedge there. That's oats that needs to go to BK Grains, so we're going to crack on and do that this morning. And then we'll see how the day progresses, but chances are that I'll probably take on another harvest contract if I can, just to keep earning some money. And I've got a few other little bits of equipment that I want to buy that I'll talk to you about in a little minute. Well, I've just filled up with diesel, and I'm going to open up the headland in this field 33, start getting on with this. Now, you may remember back in episode 1 that I talked about wanting to kind of farm organically, or as best as I can. So I was pleased to find out recently that they got some new products available up at the shop, and that's Compost and Compost Tea, which is a liquid variant of the compost, which can be spread, the compost can be spread using a manure spreader on your fields, or you can use the compost tea and spray it on. Now, the only slight complication is they weren't completely compatible with precision farming, so we've had a little bit of a tweak with precision farming to see if we could get that to work, and seems to be okay with the composting, but not the compost tea at the moment. So what I'm going to do, or my plan is that we're going to try and do minimal tillage on our fields. Now, I'm not worried about what other people want to do for any contracts that they offer, but for the land that we own, I'm going to try and avoid doing any ploughing or cultivating, and that we direct drill our seed. So the plan is that we will look to apply compost after harvesting. We will then direct drill, so I do need to go and purchase a better drill in order to be able to do that, and I have got my eye on one that I think I can afford. Once we've seeded the ground, we're then going to use our set of rolls, which kind of acts as a level of fertiliser to a certain degree. So that improves seed to soil contact, as I mentioned in the last episode, and helps retain the moisture in the soil and everything else like that. So it kind of acts as a second level of fertiliser. And then hopefully we'll be able to kind of see what impact that has in terms of the nitrogen levels, and whether that kind of meets and satisfies the requirement of precision farming. Now, I do need to go and get hold of the Arceria Scout a little bit later. I'll just lease that so I can do some sampling on the fields. Now, again, a little bit of adjustment with precision farming. Apparently a bunch of the locals were kind of kicking up how many samples they had to take in their fields, so the sampling range has been increased slightly to make things a little bit easier. So a little bit later on, we're going to go and pick up the Arceria Scout and take some soil samples to see where we are in terms of our pH levels and our nitrogen levels, and then we'll be able to take things from there. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to go down the minimal tillage routes, there's been a lot of discussion and conversation over the last 4 or 5 years about soil health and soil structure, and how reducing the amount of tillage can have a positive impact on that. So if you think about the microbes and the small kind of creatures and things like earthworms and mites and things like that, they all help break down organic matter in the soil. And on top of that, things like earthworms as well, they kind of create channels within the soil that help with water drainage. So if you go and disturb all of those by cultivating and ploughing, then you kind of start to undo some of the good work that they do. So that's not always the best thing to do. Now, I'm not saying minimal tillage is right for every situation and circumstance, but it certainly seems to be that it has a positive impact rather than a negative impact. Now, in addition to that, the plants, as they grow, absorb carbon out of the atmosphere, and that makes its way into the soil. So when you go and cultivate and plough, some of that carbon is then released back into the atmosphere, which then has a negative impact on things like climate control. So that's another kind of reason not to disturb the soil too much. And you're also, of course, reducing the amount of tasks that you need to perform in a field, so that helps in terms of labour cost, fuel cost, and also helps reduce soil compaction as well. So there are kind of other benefits to it. Now, as far as the game is concerned, then it doesn't take these sorts of things into consideration, but for me the notion and the idea of doing it is a positive thing, and perhaps if you'll pardon the pun, sowing the idea to some of you that are watching, might be a nice consideration for you in the future in the way that you might farm in the game. So as a next step, I need to get up the shop and find a manure spreader so we can start spreading our compost. Need to pick up the Aceria Scout as well. So I'm going to put a helper into this combine, get him to finish off this contract in field 33, and I will see you all up at the shop. Well, I found this PRT10 manure spreader, which I think is a Polish manufacturer. It's got 8,300 litres capacity, and second-hand it's just over £6,600. So that looks like a pretty good purchase to me. So I'm going to get this. I'm going to buy some compost up here from the shop to see how far it goes. But I suspect there is an option to get a kind of like a compost bunker and buy point, which I would imagine is probably going to be a little bit cheaper, so I might need to look at doing that a little bit later, but we'll start with some big bag compost to start with and see how we get on, and then I need to pick up the Aceria Scouts and then head back to the farm. Okay, so I've got those picked up. I've got the Aceria Scout on the front. I've got the manure spreader on the back. I've got 8,000 litres of compost in here. Now, that was all purchased through big bags. It cost £4,000, so it's quite expensive, and I suspect it's probably not going to go that far. So I think I will end up kind of purchasing some sort of compost bunker that I can buy from directly. I'm guessing that will be a lot cheaper, but I won't know until I get it. And the combine's getting on okay. I think the grain trailer is almost full, so I'm going to go and drop the manure spreader off in the yard. I'm going to go and collect the grain trailer. I'm going to take that down to BK Grains and empty that. That'll be the first load, and then on the way back I'm going to take the soil samples in field 21 and then come and get the soil sample from our little field just up here in the yard. I'll just need to empty out the combine. That'll give us a full trailer. Then I'll take that down to BK Grains. Now, it doesn't seem to be a huge amount of yield coming off this field. You may remember that we cultivated in a cover crop of oilseed radish, so the fertiliser levels in here should be kind of okay, but we seem to have done quite a bit of the field for only having one trailer load, but hopefully it will be okay and the contract will complete. We'll find out soon enough, I guess. So I'm going to take this down to BK Grains, and then I'll see you in field 21 for doing the soil sample. Right, well, I've taken a couple of samples already in this field 21. I'm just coming up to the end here, make sure that we cover this. Now, the sampling range on the Aceria Scout has been improved up to about 250 metres, I think from originally around about 35-40 metres. As you can see on the map there, it's kind of covered a reasonable area. So I need to go over and take a sample, obviously, from our little field that we've got next to the yard, and then we'll have a look at the soil map and see where things are. Well, as you can see by the map there, our field 21 is pretty much all loam, and our small field that we've got next to the yard is pretty much all silty clay. So that's not brilliant, but if we have a look at the yield map, they both kind of did okay, I suppose, around about 85 to 90%, so probably slightly better than anticipated. If we have a look at the nitrogen levels, then everything's been depleted in field 21. That's got nothing in it at all, but our own field, because we have the soybeans in there, they do leave a certain amount of nitrogen in the soil, which you can kind of see, so that's not in sort of too poor condition. So I think what I'll probably do with that is not bother putting any compost on that, and I'll just do 21 at the moment. Now, if we have a look at the expected yield potential, field 21 is pretty good. Our own small field itself is not particularly kind of great. I think that's because of the silty clay. Neither is field 33 either, but if we look at the ones ones over the road, field 20 and also field 24, then their expected yield potential is pretty high. So it seems that the fields that are on the opposite side of the road to us are an awful lot better in terms of yield potential than our own fields. So field 29, again, just south of where we are, not particularly great, but certainly fields 24 and 20 would be a good purchase for us in terms of their yield potential going forward. Right, well, I've started doing some of the composting in field 21. We're just getting around the headland, and like I said, I'm not going to do our own field at the moment, the small one in the yard, because the nitrogen levels on that looked kind of half decent. So we'll drill that, put the rolls over it, see what impact that has, and if need be, I can always go and put an application of compost probably on it immediately after we've drilled it. So I'll play that one a little bit by ear. So we'll get on with this. This is going to take us a little bit of time. It's only a 9-metre spread on this, and it only travels at around about 6 to 8 miles an hour, so it's not particularly quick. So this is going to take us a little time to do, but that's not too much of a problem. And I think it's very likely that once we finish field 33 and that contract, we'll take on another one as well. I think I saw that either field 9 or 10 were up for harvest contract, and they look to pay out reasonably well. So I think it's very likely that I'll try and take one of those on this afternoon as well. Well, our 8,000 litres of compost that we purchased from the shop didn't last us very long at all, and that was fairly expensive. So I have purchased this compost heap, which we've kind of positioned up in the corner of our yard, so it's kind of tucked out the way. Now, price-wise, this was a tenth of the price to purchase the compost from here in comparison to buying big bags from the shop, which I guess you would kind of expect. I thought it would be cheaper, but it really is quite cheap. So it's £50 per 1,000 litres, so that's pretty good. So it only costs 950 odd pounds, I think, to fill up the trailer. So I'm going to carry on doing our composting in field 21. And I did take on a harvest contract in field 10 in the end, so that's just under 16,000 contract value, and I'm sure we'll get a reasonable amount of harvest income as well. So certainly over £20,000 in total, I would hope. And I also needed to lease another small tractor as well to run corn cart. Now I do want to buy another tractor in the future, but I want to I don't want to waste my money on getting something small and then have to replace it in the future. So at the moment, I'm just going to carry on leasing vehicles. Now, I've enlisted the help of a couple of other people to do the harvest contract for me, so they're on their way up to field 10 to get on with that. And I must say that I am pretty impressed with this class combine. I kind of do like it. As I mentioned in the previous episode, it was a very familiar sight out in the fields in and around North Bedfordshire when I was farming back in the late 70s and through into the mid-80s. And the John Deere tractor behind with the Marston trailer would have been a very familiar sight as well. Now, when I worked on the farm, the equipment, the kit that we had was pretty much, or it's kind of exclusively John Deere, really. Combines, tractors, not kind of implements and things like that, but certainly the vehicles were predominantly John Deere, and the ones that we mainly drove were a kind of slightly earlier version of this. So this is a 3650. We kind of had predominantly 3130s, 3140s, those sorts of things that had a squarer cab rather than the SG cab with the curved kind of front screen that you see here. But this sort of setup across the fields with the combine size, 17, 18 foot header, tractor and trailer, just like this would have been very familiar to me back in those days. So I'm progressing quite nicely with the composting. I've done about 60-65% of the field now, so it's a little bit slow going, but it's not too bad. And the guys seem to be getting on okay with the harvest contract that's up at field 10. So I think that's obviously going to take them a little while. It's quite a big field, but that seemed to be doing okay with that. And hopefully, like I said beforehand, it should get us a reasonable block of income. I think kind of hopefully at least over £20,000. So that will help boost things and probably pay a fair proportion towards the drill that I need to get. So once I've finished the composting, I'll take that the manure spreader back to the yard, and then I need to head up the shop and have a hunt for a suitable direct drill. So this is the drill I had in mind, an early version of the Väderstad Rapid. So it can be used as a direct drill. It does have a set of cutting discs at the front, which provides some kind of loose cultivation, kind of mainly used for cutting and mixing crop residue and trash, really. But it's a good drill, 4 metre wide. It's got a 4,300 litre seed tank, and the second-hand price is just over £30,000. So I'm going to buy this. I'm going to fill it up with seed, or pretty much, and take it down to field 21, and we're going to start drilling down there. So I'm putting oats into this field. Not 100% sure what I'm going to put in the other small field that we've got, probably just wheat or barley. A little bit restricted at the moment because I don't have a corn header for the combine. I do need to look to see which corn header would fit with that combine. But at the moment, I think the standard cereal crops will be kind of okay for the time being. So I'm going to carry on doing this drilling in this field. It's going to take a little while because it's quite a decent sized field, but the harvest contracts needs to be getting on okay up at field 10. And then once we've drilled our 2 fields, we're then going to go over them with the rollers, and then that does have a variable rate in terms of the fertiliser effect, so it'll be interesting to see how that works with the precision farming, and if it doesn't fertilise completely, then we might need to apply some more compost. So I think that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please feel free to do so. So thanks very much for watching. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, take care, stay safe, and I will catch you on the farm next time. Bye for now.